Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And I am the one they call when things go wrong. And things have gone very wrong. For one thing, this is the third time we're attempting to record this podcast.
I mean, the second time only went on for less than 5 seconds.
I mean, yeah, and it was also like 30 seconds ago. But still, the first time was like
Uh,
4 days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, something like that. We're very behind on recordings.
yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that we record so far ahead.
Usually, yeah. I mean, I don't know how far behind we are now. Um,
Too, too far behind. There's your answer.
yeah, I was about to say it's not two as in like 2 episodes because we're definitely more behind than that.
No.
But yeah, welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Lilo and Stitch. You can join us next week for Big Hero 6. That is the movie the
I
wheel
love that
landed
song.
on.
I love that movie.
That's yeah. Big Hero 6 is a song now, guys.
Add it to your Spotify playlist.
Yeah. And also listen to this podcast on Spotify. There will be a link below to anchor.fm that will have links to this podcast on every platform that it is on, as well as links to our Instagram and our Twitter.
God, that was
But as I was
smooth.
saying, Big Hero 6 is the movie that the wheel landed on the first time we attempted to record this episode. So yeah, you can join us next week for that. Also in the description below, there's a link to our Patreon where you can get access to episodes of this show early. You can vote on future episodes of this show, and you can get access to episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books. And fucking hell, I forgot to upload the first episode earlier this week.
Hmm.
Well, that's unfortunate. Let me see. Is there anything else I need to cover? I think
I don't
that's
think so. Yeah,
everything.
I think your debut, um, your second podcast debut is gonna have to be in November.
No, it's still going to be in October. Because we still have next week, and I'm
That's
gonna
true.
make damn sure. I'm gonna make damn sure I release it. But yeah, with all that being said, this episode will contain spoilers for Lilo and Stitch, so you have been warned. Good luck. Um, so yeah,
Good luck.
what did you think of it? Yeah, good luck.
What
So
did
yeah,
I
what did
think?
you think of this?
So yeah, you were the one who actually got me to watch this movie. It was in a big list, for you to try to get me to watch more movies. And I feel like if I pulled up that list now, I feel like a good chunk of that has we've already covered in this podcast.
I feel like there would be a decent chunk that we haven't covered in this podcast
Yeah.
because I feel like I probably would have put at like Atlantis: The Lost Empire and Treasure Planet on that list,
I
and
do
we
know
haven't.
The Parent Trap was on that list, the remake.
Yeah, okay, good because I really hope I didn't put the original version on that list because we've covered the original version and it is not a good movie. I can't believe I used to enjoy that movie as a kid.
Yeah. So, and I only watched a few movies from. I think Lilo and Stitch was the only movie I actually actively watched. Just like from that list, and then I gave up on the list promptly after that.
Wow, Lilo and Stitch was that bad, huh?
No, I'm terrible at committing to things.
Yeah. I actually think this is one of the like top 4 best movies that Disney Animation Studios has ever made. And I know 4 is a weird number, but like I made a tier list of movies done by Disney Animation Studios, And I only put 4 movies in S tier. And those 4 movies were Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, Lilo and Stitch, and Atlantis the Lost Empire.
Interesting.
I I really do think this is one of Disney's best. And primarily the reason for that is the character dynamic between Lilo and Nani. The way they wrote a broken family and the way they wrote grief and the struggle of like an older sister having to raise a younger sister and the struggles that come with maybe not being able to do it the best and being afraid that you're going to lose your little sister. The way that they wrote that is so brilliant. It's so well done in this movie.
Nani deserved better.
Yeah, she does. And then like it's I don't know, it's like the writing in this movie, it really gets me. And then the music, okay, we have to talk about the music. Not just the Elvis Presley stuff, because this franchise is also kind of a love letter to Elvis Presley, which is a little weird because he wasn't the best person, but his music was okay. Um, I feel like that might be an understatement.
I just find it a little bit weird. This movie, of all movies, is a love letter to Elvis Presley.
Well, I mean, like pretty much any of the licensed music you will hear in this franchise, it's Elvis Presley or it's a cover of an Elvis Presley song. Like there's a really interesting cover of Can't Help Falling in Love in the end credits. I say
Interesting.
interesting. I say interesting. Most people think it's bad. I disagree, but I'm biased because that cover is the first way that I ever heard the song. And
That makes sense.
even after hearing the Elvis Presley original and loving the Elvis Presley original, I still like this cover. And I have it on my Spotify. So, I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia. Yeah, I don't know, something.
It's
It's
something.
extremely pop. Yeah, like it's at the very least it's an extremely popified version of the song.
That may.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of people really don't like when Disney does that. So I get it. Like people didn't like the popified version of How Far I'll Go from Moana. I liked it. So I don't know. And I'm not typically one for pop music either. Um
Yeah, no.
so yeah.
I remember you're not a big pop music fan.
Yeah, that's why I hated most of Frozen's soundtrack. But yeah, on the topic of music in this movie, the original score in this movie is composed by someone who we've seen multiple times already, Alan Silvestri, the guy who composed the music for The Avengers and I think The Last Unicorn.
He composed music for The Last Unicorn. Oh,
I
Jesus.
think I think it was either The Last Unicorn or something else that we covered
Was
that
it
was kind
another
of
drug
old.
trip?
No, it was something else we covered that was older than the Avengers because I do remember in another episode making the comment that he would go on to compose the score for the Avengers.
Yeah, I remember that too. I want to say it's from The Last Unicorn. I cannot remember though.
Yeah, like maybe that's something we can look up later. I don't
Yeah.
know. But regardless, the score in this movie is, of course, fantastic, as you would expect it to be from Alan Silvestri. And this is in 2002. So this is 10 years before he would do The Avengers.
Wow.
And also, yeah. Also, this movie, okay, so shifting over from the music now, I want to talk about the animation because this movie comes from a very strange era where computer animation is on the rise. Like it just 7 years prior, we had Toy Story, which was the first feature-length computer animated film. And then we've had a few other Pixar movies before this, and other companies are getting in on doing like computer animated films.
And
Meanwhile,
it
this
is
film,
clear that Disney needs to step up on that.
it's clear that Disney is doing some weird stuff. They've like this is an era of Disney where they released Atlantis: The Lost Empire and Treasure Planet, which while both are great movies, they flopped hard. And this
Really?
is also before Brother Bear, which from what I hear is not as good as I remember it being, and it also flopped hard. This was like their big success in the middle of failure.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
good thing that they had some success. Is this in the middle of like where Disney was going direct to DVD hard?
No, that started close. That started a few years later when the recession hit. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, I remember you were
yeah,
telling me about how Disney direct to DVD just hit hard, man.
yeah, it's like closer to 2008 was when Disney went hard into. Well, they didn't really go hard into direct to DVD releases. It's just that they made an entire franchise that was direct to DVD. Like the whole franchise was. And I'm for those of you listening, that franchise was the Tinkerbell franchise, which we will cover eventually. I
It
love
is
those movies. I've seen all except for the last one.
just so strange how how they did it.
Yeah, and they're surprisingly good. Like you wouldn't think a movie with Tinkerbell as the main protagonist would be good, let alone good enough for sequels, let alone the fact that the sequels are also good.
I mean, let alone the fact that it wasn't a theoretical release. You just one
Theatrical,
day
you mean?
found it in your nearest Target on DVD. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. But like, it's a byproduct of the fact that there was a recession going on. People were not going to the theater anywhere near as much. And also, Netflix hadn't really taken off yet as a streaming service. That wouldn't be until like 2011 or so. So, direct to DVD just made sense at the time.
Yeah. God, have you heard? I think Netflix is going down again.
Yeah, Netflix is going way down now, but like they were the big I mean, they may not have been the first to do streaming, but they were the first to really go big with it.
It feels weird how Netflix used to be a DVD delivery service.
Yeah,
Or, no, DVD rental delivery. It's weird, but
DVD rental by mail.
that's the proper term.
Yeah. Okay. So I talked about, we just bleh, bleh, words, what are they? Okay. So just a bit ago, I was talking about all the Tinkerbell sequels, and that reminded me this movie had 3 sequel movies and an animated TV series. Now, all of that stuff is canon to Lilo and Stitch,
Oh,
but I want to talk
did you
about.
think this? Do you think what Avery just said was out of the ordinary? You haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, like that's just the canon stuff that came off of this movie. But this movie also got a Chinese animated series, a Japanese anime, a manga adaptation, and a fucking crossover with High School Musical. What the fuck?
What the fuck, indeed. No, just yes. What are you reading? Oh, I'm just reading Lilo and Stitch manga.
Yeah, like, part of me is interested in what the hell this Japanese anime looks like, because uh, that's something. It sure is something.
I
And
just
like
wonder, like,
cutting,
how did someone at Disney had to approve this?
yeah, someone had to, but someone also had to improve the sequels, and some of the stuff that happens in those sequels is weird. There's an evil I'm not kidding. There is an evil alien hamster mob lord.
Yeah, it seems legit.
But yeah, speaking of aliens, let's talk about the aliens in this movie. Okay, so the CIA managed to convince a group of aliens that mosquitoes are an endangered species.
I love it.
You know, I hate it. Fuck
But why?
mosquitoes. They give people diseases.
I mean, that's true, but like that, I just love that scene.
Yeah, and it I the funny thing is like I was eating Chinese food with my sister and my dad on Sunday,
Hmm.
and we were talking about like the possibility of aliens existing somewhere out there, and like I m- I mentioned that I have two ideas floating around in my head where I feel like one of these two has to be true about aliens. Either they've known we are here all along and they're just ignoring us, and like kind of like how there's that tribe on an island in the Indian Ocean that we don't contact.
Yeah,
I
or
feel
maybe
like
like
there's
Star
a
Trek.
I feel like it's a situation where it's like Earth has been declared off limits and like nobody comes into nobody contacts us. But then there's also the possibility that the aliens just live so far away that we haven't discovered them yet, they haven't discovered us yet. Because like you got to remember that even if we somehow figured out how to travel at the speed of light, it would still take us 4 years to get to the next closest star to us.
Um, I remember I was watching a Click video, and he said something interesting. What if the reason why, there's no alien contact is because no sentient life has made it that far to,
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing I was saying.
well, not just that, like, before that they could even get that far, they all just die and collapse.
There's also a strong possibility that aliens visited Earth millions and millions of years ago, saw giant lizard creatures and were like, "Nope, never fucking coming back here."
Nah, fuck this.
Yeah. Um so that's also a strong possibility. But we're getting way way off the topic of Lilo and Stitch. But hey, at least there's not been any awkward pauses.
That's true. Though there's something I want to talk about, and something I'd be a lot more knowledgeable than you are. This, and I was actually talking to Avery about this before, and Avery asked me if there was a Kingdom Hearts world on this movie, and I responded no, because what? Who just actively remembers Birth by Sleep? But
Yeah, I sure don't remember Birth by Sleep.
and if I the world is called Space something, and it all takes place before 626 escaped, I believe. So, it's called Lilo and Stitch, but yeah, I don't believe Lilo was even there.
Yeah, that's the sad thing, and it's something that the sequels tended to do to her a lot. Like the sequels would cut Lilo out of the title, even though she's still a major character in the sequels. Which, by the way, we will be covering the sequels. I don't know if we're covering the TV show. I'll figure out for myself if we need to at least watch it.
Mm-hmm. Um,
And,
I mean, the big thing about Birth by Sleep was it was focusing on everything in this movie was taken place in the past. This is a prequel, and as such, most of the worlds are prequels to the actual movie. And this is just
interesting.
what happened with Lilo and Stitch.
So, some other things too with this movie. I do want to talk. I do want to go back and talk about like the grief that we see with like Lilo and Nani, but more particularly with Lilo, because this movie, after we get through the initial opening with all the alien shit going down, um, we see Lilo go to give Pudge the fish a sandwich and then, go back to like hula practice or whatever it is. And we finally get an explanation that apparently Pudge controls the weather. Pudge the fish controls the weather. And it just hits me different after hearing that her parents died during a car accident in a storm.
Oh,
Like,
right.
yeah. Yeah, like that to me, like if you rewatch this movie, that just hits so different and it's you start thinking if maybe she's doing it to try to prevent other people's deaths, which is really dark.
That is hella dark.
Yeah, like I didn't think of this until someone else pointed it out, but like holy yeah, that's something.
I mean, it's not even that far reaching either.
Yeah, no, it isn't. And then okay, another character I want to talk about. I can't remember his name, but the social worker.
Oh, yeah.
It's in a lot of films, it would be really easy to paint this character as a villain. And I really appreciate that this movie doesn't do that.
No, this
He's
person
just a
is
guy.
just doing his job.
Yeah, he's doing his job and he's trying to do what he feels is best for Lilo, which is completely understandable. And I mean, he is a pretty intimidating social worker. I'll give him that.
Oh, yeah. Also,
But yeah,
wasn't
it's
he also a reference, especially like he used to work in the CIA?
yeah, he did. And like he's the one that convinced the alien race that mosquitoes were an endangered species somehow,
I mean,
even though they're fucking everywhere.
the aliens don't have to know that.
But yeah, it's something, and I do really appreciate how he's not vilified in this movie because I don't know, that just feels like something that would have been so easy to do, and I think it's much more brilliant writing to do the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't really a villain, not in the end at least.
Well, I'd say the true villains were probably Honestly, I'd say the true villain is probably Captain Gantu, voiced by Kevin Michael
Oh yeah,
Richardson.
I almost thank you. I almost forgot about him. Yeah, no, he's the villain.
Yeah, Captain Gantu, as I said, voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who we've seen on this podcast before. He voiced Dan Flunk in an episode of Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated, which I don't know if the season 2 episode for that is released yet.
It's not. Wait,
I don't know.
I'm just thinking about it in my head for a second. Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
This episode should be coming out on the 24th, and the Scooby Doo sees. Wait, no, is it the opposite? I actually think. Okay, so here's what I think. I think Scooby Doo season 2 may come out on the 25th, and then this comes out on the 31st.
I'm not sure. I mean,
I'm
we could
checking the
always go
schedule.
look at this. Yeah. The schedule will
Oh,
say for sure.
Lilo and Stitch is on November 1st. Oh, I don't see
Okay,
about Rio
so
2, which was on the 31st.
okay, so when is the Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated episode supposed to come out?
25th.
Okay, so it should the 25th of October
Yeah,
or the 25th of November. Okay, October.
already came out.
So that means so it should have already come out. All right. We will definitely also be seeing Kevin Michael Richardson again because he's in fucking everything. I also think he has a role in the Mario movie that's coming out next year.
Oh,
I can't.
God.
Yeah. Um, I can't remember who he's supposed to be playing, but
Are we going to cover
yeah,
that?
yeah, I'd like to cover that.
I know I'm going to be watching it. I don't know if we're going to be covering it.
Like, I'm also going to be watching it, but you said you weren't going to be watching it until like May, which like good luck because
Yeah,
it's coming out early. It's coming out early April. I don't know if you're like you'd have to get lucky with the
I
theaters and
really
hope that
would
they
have to
still
get
are.
lucky, but I really do want to see it with my friend.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
As far as
He's off at college right now, but he's coming back.
yeah, as far as my plans go, I'm planning to see it pretty close to when it comes out, maybe a day or two later, because typically I'll see movies a day or two after they've come out.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
planning to see it with my.
if you want to do like post a Mario movie episode early, I might go see it early as well, but I'm not sure. Again, I still really do want to see it with my friend.
I mean, if it's fine if we just wait until the movie's out on physical or digital media to cover it.
Okay.
But yeah, Kevin Michael Richardson, great voice actor, and honestly, all three of the main alien characters, Gantu, Jumba, and Pleakley, are all very fun to watch. They're just great on screen. And also, Stitch is very entertaining. I feel like we haven't talked about Stitch enough in this episode.
Stitch can get a whole 10 minutes just by himself.
Yeah, like
such an interesting character.
And like there's the whole thing about like found family versus your biological family, which obviously Stitch doesn't really have a biological family, except he kind of does, and that's kind of what the sequels go into, kind of.
I'm sorry,
Because
what?
you could argue that the other 625 experiments are his biological family, kind
Oh,
of.
so that's what 626. Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole concept here is like Lilo and Nani are his found family. It's the family that he chose and Jumba is the family he came from.
Wait a minute. That doctor was a lie. That doctor was a straight liar. I would never make more than one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of that's a pretty funny line in the movie. Um, I do also love that he refers to himself as an evil genius because, like, a lot of the time you will have a cliche character refer to them as themselves as evil, but I feel like when Jumba does it, it's more of like a playful thing.
Like, are you really? You're just a lunatic.
Yeah, he's just a little bit nuts. And yeah, he does play a sort of antagonistic role in this movie for most of it.
Though he does get a nice ending.
Yeah. Same for Pleakley and the councilwoman. I guess that's what you would call her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know what else you'd call her.
But oh, sorry, we moved off of Stitch. The fact
Yeah,
that he
we
can
moved off of Stitch.
play a vinyl record, just that's it. He can play a vinyl record. He is the vinyl. No,
We,
he is the record
yeah,
player.
yeah, he is the record player. That scene really gets me. It's so funny. I could watch that
And
scene a
then,
thousand times over and still laugh every time.
but I like what they did, and you had an issue with this in How to Train Your Dragon. They take anything that's supposed, not human, and they transform it into a dog. They could have done the same thing here for the good half of this movie. They didn't.
And I feel like this movie is actively making fun of that whole concept because, like, Lilo and, well, just Lilo refers to Stitch as a dog. And everybody else is like, that is not a fucking dog.
No, that is a sick creature.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it keeps looking at me like it's gonna eat me.
It was definitely thinking about it. I love
Okay, so
how
go ahead.
see Stitch was this like evil character at the beginning. A lot of movies tend to go the route of like he was made for pure evil and then just never does any of that evil tendencies. It was just misunderstood. No, he was made for destruction. There was just no destruction to be had on Hawaii.
Yeah, I love that moment where like you see Jumba talking about how like Stitch's programming will make him target large cities, and then we cut away to Lilo and Stitch, and Lilo says it's nice to live on an island with no large cities, and Stitch just fucking panics.
Stitch loses it in that scene.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, that's yeah,
That was a perfect scene in my eyes.
yeah, it's really great.
And with no other thing to fall back on, he suddenly lost his purpose. He of fucking
Yeah,
Hawaii.
yeah, a random one of the random islands of Hawaii too,
I like
and
how
like
so just when they were watching Stitch just fall down, it's like, he's gonna land in water. More land. What the hell?
yeah. So there is this one scene that I want to talk about.
Hmm.
Um, so the Lilo and Nani are just kind of feeling like depressed. Everything's gotten all screwy. Every job that Nani has tried to apply for has been kind of ruined. And then David takes them out onto the ocean to surf for a little while. And then Jumba shows up, kind of attacks. There's this whole mess. Social worker shows up, and it's an entirely bad scene all around. And then David is left alone with Stitch, and he's like, he says something like, I really believed that they had a chance until you came along. And I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
Damn.
that's that's like a really horrible thing to say.
I
It,
mean,
I
kind of
Go ahead.
right, though. I mean,
I mean,
Stitch definitely did provide a lot of not so great things.
yeah, but I feel like in this particular scene, like the very specific things that led up to their wipeout here, I feel like there's no room to blame Stitch.
Though in that, I mean, weren't they keeping like the other aliens attacking Stitch still not found? Like no
Well,
one.
the thing is, David went back into the water to rescue Stitch. So there is no way that he didn't see Jumba.
I think the movie is trying to say that he didn't. He should
Yeah,
have,
but that
but
doesn't.
he didn't.
Yeah, that's just not possible.
I mean, it is seeing underwater. That's not very easy.
But yeah, eventually, Gantu shows up, captures Stitch and Lilo, traps them in like a little jar thing, attaches it to the back of his ship, and takes off. And Stitch manages to escape. And there's a bit of conflict between Stitch and Nani at first, and eventually they kind of team up, along with Jumba and Pleakley to rescue Lilo. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like afterward, like the aliens basically grant Stitch permanent exile on Earth because Lilo legally purchased him
For $5, I believe.
$2.
Oh damn, two whole dollars to buy a pet. That's the most
Yeah,
unrealistic thing I've ever seen.
yeah, $2. It was 2002 though. Money was worth more back then.
Even then, I believe like adoptions, um, from actual, pet adoptions, not breeders or whatever, um, they are very expensive.
Yeah, it still wouldn't have been $2, but at the same time, money was worth more back then.
I don't know, maybe Stitch was just an extra low price.
Yeah, because he was dead.
I mean, I was more thinking, just please just get rid of it.
Yeah, please just get it out of this building. I don't want it here anymore.
I love that scene. Is like Stitch. Stitch will be his name, but that's not really a no, no, no. Don't say it.
That's not really a name. No, 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 no. In Iceland.
I I love that scene.
Yeah, that's just like, okay, that's what you came up with?
I love Nani in this movie so much,
Yeah.
trying her absolute best to support her younger sister, and life is not really wanting that. Life is just
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
nah, fuck you.
and it's not something anyone should ever have to go through. It's like, it's really unfortunate, like, that their parents died in a car accident, and this is the lot they're left with.
And
And
you you
I really
feel
love how Disney did it.
you feel for Lilo, but you really have to think about Nani here. They lost both their parents, but then immediately have to, bottle up all that feeling because now they have to take care of Lilo.
And then, like, there's that time when Gantu captures Lilo, and I swear to God, I'm like 90% sure Jumba told her to just like let it go, and that she would never be able to get her back. And that was just like, oh my God. Like, to not only lose your parents, but to also, at least in that moment, believe you're losing your little sister too.
I mean, is this what rock bottom looks like?
Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, I don't really have much more I want to say about this movie. It's fantastic. It's well written. The music is great. The animation is great. Even though it is this weird era where it's like this probably would have been computer animated if Disney like if Disney Animation Studios wasn't deciding to stick to hand drawn animation. But like hand drawn animation still has a place.
It does, yeah. It's just way slower.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I don't really have much more to say about this movie. Do you?
No, I think I've said everything I wanted to say.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about the ratings that come up when you Google this movie. Um, IMDb gives this movie a 7.3 out of 10, way too low.
Yeah, way too
Rotten
no.
Tomatoes, yeah, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 87%, and 87% of Google users liked this movie.
Okay, usually I go first, and that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna say 8.9. Yeah, 8.9. I would definitely watch this
Interesting.
movie again and definitely pick up on more of the feelings, the emotions behind this movie. There's always something that you can, multiple rewatches, you pick up on more things.
Yeah. So because like I've already said how I think this is one of Disney's best movies, or when I say Disney, I specifically mean Disney Animation Studios. So like that's excluding Pixar, that's excluding all their other studios, just this studio. We're talking about just this one. Um and I don't know, this movie just it really means a lot to me. I'm giving this movie a 9.3.
Okay.
So yeah, I think with all of that being said, you can join us next week for Big Hero 6. Definitely look forward to that. Uh, and until then, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and my name's Stitch.